Hypnosis podcast, session number 185, Titan Lunaro on pioneering hypnosis.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
You know, we've got so many great messages out there in the hypnotic community, whether it's individual trainers, whether it's this amazing renaissance of online education and people helping to change the dialogue in terms of how we talk about hypnosis and really how we advance it out into the future, which kind of rewinds part of the story back. And some of this you may have heard before back on session number 175 with Scott Sandland, where Scott receives a message from someone out in Australia, and the two of them then invite me along, and here we are, Scriptnosis is here, which is one side of things, this click and drag content editor with curated content from top professionals in the industry to really help you to develop greater strategies in terms of how you work with your clients and what methods you use to help them to create these outstanding changes. And really the statement is it's us reclaiming the word Scriptnosis, a word that up until now has been kind of negative in the community, but now reclaiming it because this could be, yes, a thing that you engineer and then build out and then print and read during your session. Though you're going to hear Titan, the actual sort of inventor of this software, actually say in this dialogue you're about to listen to that that's not the intention. It's about actually researching that content, preparing for your client, and also having a good record of what you've done, which is where I was blown away. I said yes to the project even before I found out this was also going to be a client management system, what we call a CRM, customer relationship management software. The ability to have an all-in-one solution that does your email marketing, that does your client reminders, that handles your calendar and your scheduling, all in a secure format that, again, in one location, you can track what you've done with your client, all the client details, and you're going to hear some really cool business nuances here in the dialogue between myself and Titan about different ways to increase those touch points to really get out there and help you to grow your hypnosis business. What I'd encourage you to do is head over to scriptnosis.com. That's where you can actually see the full demo of what the platform is, both the content management side as well as the client management side. And for the amount of benefit that you're going to receive in terms of working with your clients and just streamlining your business and seeing clients and scaling up your growth year after year, it's a bit of a no-brainer investment that we know you're going to love. So check that out, scriptnosis.com. Let's meet the man behind the legend. This is session number 185, Titan Lunaro on pioneering hypnosis.
Well, for me, I've always been very interested in hypnosis and hypnotherapy. I think, funnily enough, it was a book I read many, many years ago called The Game, which was it was actually about pickup artists, and I wasn't really interested in that side. I was more interested in the fact that when they were talking through it, they were talking about the ways they were able to influence people. Now, they weren't necessarily influencing people in the most positive ways, but I found it exceptionally interesting that they were still influencing people. And that actually got me into the field of hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and I really read up on it and looked into it for many, many years. I went through my uni degree, and they actually had it on offer as a topic at university. And then the the year that I signed up to do it, they changed it for laterality, which is are you left-handed or right-handed? So I was exceptionally disappointed with that. Just thought, the one thing that I really, really wanted to see, and it turned into left-handed, right-handedness. So that could have been my very first sort of major introduction, but it wasn't. It just happened to be that it was like a weekend come and try, I guess, type course on. And I thought, you know what, it was one of those ones that was just like, come and try this now, and you don't spend much for the weekend, but then they upsell you and you do some more training and stuff. And I absolutely loved it. So, in about 2.5 days, I went from this is a topic of interest to, wow, this is absolutely amazing. This is something that I can really see helping. And just you get the feedback when when you're working with people and stuff, and you're practicing on them, and they're practicing on you in these short courses. And I just got these amazing reviews of, you've done this before, or this, that, and the other. And I said, no, not at all. And they just said, well, you're so good at this, whether it's your voice or whatever it is. They said, you're so good at this type of stuff. You should be doing this professionally. Mm-hmm. And that was really my first introduction. Like 2.5 days was my first introduction into hypnosis, and that's how it all sort of started. And then from there.
And to pause there for a moment, I'm curious to ask, was there a specific style to the hypnosis now that you're much further into it? Was there a specific focus of that original training?
So the original training was, I can't remember who it was based on, to be fair. It was actually quite a while ago. Mm-hmm. But it was a very script, I guess, orientated style. In that, you went through talking about what hypnosis is and what hypnosis isn't and all this type of stuff, and then having them imagine themselves in the future. So it was actually based, for the life of me, I can't remember at this point in time who it was, but it was actually based on one of the, I guess the people would call the grandfathers of hypnosis or hypnotherapy. And yeah, that style was, I guess, very, it really lent itself towards being very easy to teach and very, very sort of formulaic. Mm-hmm. So that was my very first introduction. Krasner, I think it was actually, the Krasner method.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how it all started. And I guess my first real life interaction was, it was a bit of a chance coincidence, and it was actually one that would end up changing my life quite significantly, and the person that I happened to meet up with. I caught up with a friend that I hadn't seen for a fairly long time, and they were out for their birthday, and they were out to have a good time, and this, that, and the other. And we got to talking, and I found out that they were deeply, deeply depressed, so much so that their plan was they had planned to come out one last night, and essentially that was it. It was game over for them. Which disturbed me quite a lot. And they had prepared, and they'd unfortunately they tried in the past, and as fate would have it, they weren't successful, not through skill but through luck. And I just said, look, it's just very lucky that someone actually found them. And I said, I've just finished this course. Like I really had no idea what I was doing, to be fair. And this is not something that it wasn't a professional thing. I wasn't charging this person, but I said, look, I've just finished this course. I said, let me try and work with you. Because we'd gone through, like, you need to see a healthcare professional, this, that, and the other. And they were like, nah, none of this is happening. I've already got my mind made up. I'm not going to talk to anyone else. I'm set. So I said, well, at least let me try and help you if you're not going to talk to anyone else. This was the last resort type thing. And they said, okay, whatever. I've got nothing to lose. And, the first session, now this actually... At this stage, I was literally reading a script from a book. Like I had 2.5 days experience, which is massive. And I was just reading a script, and I was just desperate to help my friend not commit suicide. And the first time, I've gone through it, and I've gone, so how do you feel? You're a little bit different. They say, all excited, and they're like, nah, nothing. Second time, nah, nothing. Third time, it was literally like they were a different person. I was shocked as much as they were. They just opened their eyes afterwards and said, I don't know what you've done, but I actually feel like a different person. And I'm like, I was, trying to keep the professionalism. Oh, okay. Of course you do. That's how it's supposed to work. But I didn't really realize the power of what I had done at that point in time until probably about 45 minutes later. I got a message on my phone, and I read it, and it actually said something along the lines of, "Oh God, I wish I'd kept it. Look, you have saved my life. You have saved my daughter's life. Thank you so much. I've actually been out today. I had phobias of leaving my house, and I had real problems and all this type of stuff. I've actually been out today and put out 5 resumes. So that was probably the point in time where it sort of clicked that, holy hell, I can really be can really be helping people here, and what am I doing with my current job, but when I could be doing something like this. So that was my introduction, I guess, to hypnosis, and it was a life-changing moment, not one that I expected, but one that was quite pleasantly surprising.
Nice. So then from there, which the beautiful thing of that, which, as we're deeper, and there's two sides to this, because one, of course, we have to address the ethical side that, yes, as you mentioned, go check to the doctor and all the appropriate steps that should perhaps be there before. Yet to have this moment where the framework often pops up here that sometimes as we're brand new to it, yes, we are a little too fresh at it to know enough to be afraid of it. People who've had stories of, I would have overthought that moment. Instead, I just went, okay, well, here's something I learned. Let's see what happens. Let's get into this and see if we can resolve it, which to nowadays, yes, of course, follow the ethical guidelines and work appropriately. Yet to have this experience to kick things off of an, oh, wow, kind of response, that's an awesome gift.
Yeah, and it was really a last resort, because I went through everything. They said, I've done this, I've tried the medication, I've tried this, I've tried that, and they were dead set that once they left, it was done. So I said, well, look, will you, as a friend, because what I was trying to use was the friend angle, allow me to try and help you. If you're not going to let anyone else, if you're not going to talk to anyone else, will you let me give it a go? And they said, okay, no problem. So, I mean, that's sort of as a last, it did pop up as a last resort. But, and, like I said, at that time, I was just so brand new, like a 2.5 days training. I mean, that's insane. That's really not something I would recommend doing. But the circumstances just happened to pop up that was really, at that point, what I could see was the only thing that was possible. And to be fair, I was actually after the angle of just being able to catch up with this person a couple more times to at least help direct them. If it wasn't me helping, it was just the fact that I could see them a few more times so that I could direct them to someone else, or at least persuade them to go see somebody. And it just turned out that, it all sort of fell into place. And it was quite an interesting moment in my life and their life, and it really did shape two people in massive ways. And I mean, that type of stuff happens quite regularly now, not as much for me, but for the people that, and you probably get this even more than I do, we know people that come in and see you, we really are helping people change significantly. Things that they think are almost impossible, giving up smoking. I've tried 10 times. It's been 20 years. To see them walk out with a smile on their face and to get the messages 6 months later about how happy they are and it's still happening. I mean, that's a life-changing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and to look at any possible change. So then from that experience, what were kind of the next steps of really solidifying that training and putting this all in motion for you?
So then I went and did some obviously more extensive training. So my 2.5 days got extended a little bit, and it was at that point I realized that this was just a fantastic thing that I was doing. And then what I got told by one of the trainers actually was, don't work with people not initially anyway, because they will know you as a friend or a brother or whatever you happen to be. You are not a hypnotist or a hypnotherapist or whatever it happens to be at that time to them. So following that advice, the first person I worked with was a family member, purely because they asked me and they were quite desperate. And I said, yeah, look, no problems. And I knew there was no ethical issues, because I knew what I was doing and such now. So the first person I worked with was someone who had I think it was going on about 15-year ice or methamphetamine addiction. And that was just one time sitting down with them, and that was just, again, gone. Second person was about a 10-year alcoholic, and same result. And this was actually just one session with them. And it changed. And I guess those were the points where, I was already invested, but I realized that it's not always such smooth sailing, but to get such amazing results, it really did kick me into thinking, wow, there's got to be something bigger and better and more amazing that I can be doing with this. How do I help more people? And it started clicking around that, after I've been doing it for a while, I've only got so many hours in my week. Even if I stop sleeping, I'm still limited to how many people I can see and how many people I can help. And it was that point in time where I actually come up with the idea for Scriptnosis, which was essentially I thought if I can help everyone become a little bit better at what they do, then by extension I'm helping more people, because I'm not as directly as sitting down and actually helping someone with their smoking problem or whatever it happens to be, but I can reach out to 50, 100, 1,000 people a week in a certain way, and make the whole industry that little bit better. And that's where it all come from, was how many hours do I have in my week?
Well, I think that's the bigger scope of all of this, that, here we are in a profession that years ago the dialogue was that, the one-to-one in the room was the only option for that. And yes, at one point there were hypnotists recording things on phonograph, and suddenly on your record machine you could actually listen to a hypnotist, and suddenly I'm with the times here. Yeah. So looking at how, even as the instructor, even as the person providing some sort of resource, that as much as I spend time in my office working one-to-one with clients, there's that training side of things, which really is kind of that calling of, if we can help more people do the work, that's going to help more people actually put the effort out there. And there's some who may encounter it first by way of the home audio program, some who may encounter it first by reading a book about pickup artists and going, this is not exactly what I want, but this is interesting. Turn the page. Oh, I could use that in this way. I could use that in that way. And it's where some of our initial introductions, I'm flashing back to a quick anecdote here. I did the keynote at HypnoThoughts in 2017, and the origin of that was, a stage hypnotist came to my college and did a show, and that was my introduction. And like many of you, that was also perhaps your first introduction. And someone comes up after the presentation and goes, that was great, but, my first introduction was the same thing, but it was a really, really bad show. I'm glad I found another second entry point rather than just the first.
And it really is. I think we're sort of in one of those professions where we're somewhere between science and mystery and magic. We've got this there's this idea that some people think it's amazing and we can do these incredible things. Some people think we're almost like witches and we're influencing people, and it's just you never really see an industry with such a huge range of opinions of what it's about, and so many of them being off the mark. We're just in that zone where it's something that people don't see in their everyday, but when they do see it, sometimes it's terrible, but sometimes they'll hear their friends say it was amazing. It was 90 minutes and I don't even remember, and then I woke up and everything was different. Yeah, you get bad people talking about it's terrible, this, that, and the other, and you get amazing stage shows, and I think everyone's entry point can be so different because of the influence throughout the community that is within this very unique profession, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So then what kind of is that focus nowadays? Because I know, well, actually, let's rewind it back to something you dropped the perfect seed for. So having the original idea for what we're now calling Scriptnosis. So the idea of let's take these skills and expand the abilities of practitioners around the world. Within any tech story, there's that story of the pivot. How did the idea originally first come to be?
Well, I was when I was training, I wanted to get into the mind of as many people as possible, and I was reading a lot of scripts, and I found there was a lot of terrible ones. There was a lot of okay ones, as anyone who's read a script knows.
Okay, we have to branch off of that for a second because without calling out exactly whose it was, is there a story that kind of stands out of something that was just we'll call it respectfully atrocious in terms of what the method was?
There was this one. There was this one. I mean, everyone's different, and you sort of open up a script and you don't know really what to expect. And the majority of them are quite short. Some of them are delightfully longer. But there was one specifically, I think it was a non-smoking
Or painfully
script.
longer, but go on.
Painfully longer, that's right, depending on how they're written. There was this one non-smoking script, and it must have been maybe 3/4 of a page at the best. It was essentially bring your own this, bring your own that, bring your own this, then say these magic words, which was, it must have been 2 paragraphs or something. And it wasn't too much up from don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. And really, and just the way that was written wasn't in the correct way. And it was just so short. And I've looked at it going, oh my God. Surely this is not this is not what passes for a script, but I guess everyone's got their own style. But it was really just a page of poorly constructed direct suggestions, and not even varying styles of the same direct suggestion. Sometimes the same thing was written in exact same wording 5 times in a row. I've just looked at it and gone, okay, thank you very much. I'll be putting that one straight into the bin. So yeah, there was I won't say where I got it, but it was less than glamorous. That's for sure. It didn't offer anything more than and it actually said at some point, I'm sure of it, don't smoke. And I thought, wow, that's that's not even the correct, you shouldn't even be saying don't smoke. You should be saying something a little more elegant like that than that. But yeah, I just looked at it, and as soon as I saw that it stretched just over half a page, I thought, oh, here we go. And by the time I'd got to the end of the page, or end of half of the page, which was all there was, I'd gone, okay, yeah, that's an example of what I don't want to be doing.
Which, to be fair, that lesson of what not to do is often the lesson of what you should do. Although I forget even who this was, but there's something, I think it was either nail biting or teeth grinding was the issue. And to read it, the line that kind of kicked it off was, the reason you bite your nails is that you're angry with the world. And today you're going to discover... And now, to give some discredit here, here's a moment early in my career where I just went, oh, let me just read this because I don't know what to do. And the client then opens his eyes and goes, the line being, the reason you're doing this is you're angry with the world. And he opens his eyes and goes, no, I'm not. Like, oh, wait, but my piece of paper says, no, I didn't say that. Although, I mean, to give some credit, though, here, years later, someone came in for that same issue. And very clearly, anger was one of the bigger motivators. And to recognize, oh, wait, so it's not necessarily the document itself that's either good or bad. It's how it's applied to the individual. And it's kind of from there, my take on things. And purposefully, I came from a training that originally was very much don't use scripts. However, here's your script for this. And going, wait, what? But to look at the experience of, to look at the written word and picking up script books from, folks out there like Richard Nongard and things out there from Kelly T. Woods and Melissa Roth, and to look and go, okay, so let me imagine that instead of being a published book of scripts, these are transcripts of what they did in perhaps one specific session. And to look at it from the mindset of, again, ideas or chunks. So I hear your statement around... I hear your statement around the length of it, but again, sometimes it's just that little bit of a nugget. For years, sort of the turning point of my stop smoking process is characterized by the joke of how deeply hypnotized do you have to get them to drop the knowledge bomb that, look, all you have to do is nothing. And let it become that easy, which is a fit for some people. It's not a fit for everybody. Yet here's just let's call it a theme.
Yes.
Yeah, an idea that we can kind of model and put into that.
And it's actually funny you said that, because one of the things I did find going through a lot of scripts that were, I didn't think terribly fantastic, is that little nugget of knowledge. And I would get 3 pages in, but I'd go, wow, that little bit there was worth the whole lot, worth reading the whole thing. And that's what I was really, when I was starting, that's what I was doing. I was just reading and reading and reading. And I was actually At first, I was cutting out, printing the pages and cutting them out, and then I realized that was exceptionally difficult. So I started doing it in Microsoft Word, and I was literally cutting chunks of, wow, that's amazing, and this is really good, and that's really cool, and pulling all these little pieces together. Because I really found that trying to just look at one individual script was like trying to push my mind through someone else's filter, and I couldn't do it. The wording didn't sound right, and it didn't feel right the way it was going. But there were little bits in there that I really loved, and that's when I started pulling things apart. And that's, funnily enough, this is how Scriptnosis sort of progressed into something. Was this idea that we've got so many amazing teachers out there, and so many people we can learn from, but they're not going to be exactly your style. However, small parts of what they do is going to fit with you exceptionally well. Yeah. And that's where you want to be taking those little pieces and bring them into something that is more you as a person, or you as a hypnotist.
Mm-hmm. So then from there, what was kind of the next step of getting at least, really what's now a software project up and running?
So it was really just the idea of looking around, seeing, I had this idea, and I thought, wow, no, this is amazing. No one's done this. I'd searched for a way to, construct my own scripts or a program that sort of allowed me to, create my own sessions or interventions. Nothing was out there. And I've just gone, this is absolutely amazing. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. No one's ever done this. Fantastic, right? And about a year and a half in to the project of me creating this, I've gone, oh my God, I can see why nobody has ever done this. This is a nightmare. This is terrible. What am I doing here? Because at first you think it's, I thought, such a simple concept, because I've been doing it by hand, just pulling pieces apart and this, that, and the other. But to then try and turn that into something that works, on almost all occasions, in all combinations, with all different things put in there, without intervention, was a much bigger project, because there's so much nuance that we don't even think about when we do it, and so many things that lead back to other things, and loops and stuff like that we have to actually take into account. I just after about a year and a half, I was going, oh my God, this is a nightmare. What
there's something beautiful to highlight there, and anyone out there who, even the people who are not instructors, trainers in any way, which if you don't think that, well, sorry, you are, because we're working with our clients, we're often teaching them hypnosis, teaching them self-hypnosis, teaching specific strategies. So you're very often in that educational format, and this is that side benefit where the old line of those who can't teach. No, it's where those who teach really build that mastery, where it's driving you to really think your way through the process, analyze what you're doing, why it's working, and to be able to replicate that in such a way that really it was, by teaching the classes, and for my side of things, doing the first cuts of all the video projects that I've put out over the years, driving yourself to go, oh, that's why it works. Oh, that's how that goes together. Yet it's a bit of a painful process to get that up in motion. So for those that are only just out there seeing clients, find some sort of hypnosis meetup in your area. If there isn't one, start one, and pick something that you want to build better skill at. And I'd recommend the strategy of setting a specific time frame of, in 3 months, I'm going to give a workshop on this. And it's going to drive you to really focus on that strategy, really workshop it with clients to be able to do it so well you can actually present, here's what I've been working on, rather than I'm an expert in this and watch me. We have to start from somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And and that's sort of what I found as well was as I was doing this, my skills really went through the roof. Absolutely, because I was really understanding not just, originally what I was getting was these beautiful little pieces of this person's mind, but what I was doing when I was building this was this truly deep understanding of the construction of a beautiful intervention or a beautiful session with someone. There's so many layers and nuances, and I think that's really what makes the difference. It's not just about the words we use or how we say them. It's this, it's like making a cake, I guess. You can't just throw things in all at the same time and, cook them first and then add the eggs later. Like it's a very specific flow and process. And that process is as much a part of the end result as the eggs are and the milk is and the cooking is. So that's what I found as I was pulling this apart, and it was really beneficial for me as a practitioner, as well as to get my head around completing the system.
Absolutely. So then for those that are new to this, if you had to sum up what Scriptnosis has now become, at least at the time of this recording, how would you describe it?
Oh, sure. So I guess it's a way for people to create and craft their own interventions and their own scripts from start to finish, using the pieces that they have personally chosen from the mindsets of some of the world's greatest trainers, in a way that works for them and their client. That's the scripting side, I guess, which is the knowledge side. And the other side, which is the CRM side, is where we're actually delving into helping people work their business better and do the things that we don't do as well as we should as practitioners, that are beyond just the sit back, relax, and close your eyes part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to look at something as being this whole click and drag style editor, which, as I was chatting with people at HypnoThoughts Live this year about it, it's where, yes, it does work as that resource to be able to build something specifically for the client and use it as we're still working through those training wheels of getting our process up in motion. But at the same time, this dialogue you and I have already been having around going out there and just reading and studying as much, and the same way that you were working through, I'm going to keep reminding you of this, the same way that you were working through a book on pickup artists and going, no, but I can use this other way. So to be able to have this access, especially to something that, to call it out now, at least in this initial stage of things, it's you, it's me, it's Scott Sandlin, and it's the three of us reaching out to specific people that we know their content is top notch. We know their information is phenomenal, and names we've already referenced here. And to have that ability to be able to have some sort of trusted resource to know that, okay, so this is the good stuff. This is stuff that has been checked up by people who I know and I trust. And to be able to look at it in terms of, I can do Kelly Woods' induction. I can do Melissa Roth's process for this. I can transition and I can do this little bit of weight loss from Tom Nicoli. And to be able to Frankenstein it all together in an appropriate way. And whether we're using that in the session or if we're using that the way that it becomes eventually second nature because you've learned these things, and the fact that we keep adding stuff to this and just keep growing that skill, growing that knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of this is not to take a script and read it verbatim. That is absolutely not the idea. Scripts are not for reading to your client. They're for reading to yourself. For expanding your knowledge base, and the idea is really that you can create. So what I was finding was, as I mentioned before, if I just read one script and if I attempted to I guess follow that, it was like me trying to push my mind through someone else's filter. It just wasn't working. But the idea that when I was taking this part and this part and this part, that was me. That's what Scriptnosis gives you. It gives you this beautiful plethora of all these wonderful people's ideas, and it gives you a way to create something that you can look through and you can read and you can practice beforehand or whatever you want to do with it before you get to your client. So it's like having traveled the journey already. Now, of course, the path's going to be slightly different on the day, but you've got this great map of where you're going and where you're heading, and that's the idea of it. That and helping people connect with people that they really like as maybe a mentor or someone they want to learn more from. So, as I said, there was a lot of stuff I read that was terrible. There's a lot of stuff that I read that was good, but every little piece I read, I'd occasionally come across something that I went, wow, this person, just the way they talk and the way they structure things, and this is just amazing. I guess one of the beautiful things about having these incredible people, contribute to our system is, when you're going through and you're creating these little personal masterpieces, you're going to start to pick up on the people that you connect with very strongly. You're going to go, oh, that person's okay. I like this person's stuff, but wow, this right here. Every time I pull a piece and then it's got this person's name next to it, it just connects with me. It just works. This is the way my mind works. And I guess one of the side benefits is getting all this exposure to different people, because then, Scriptnosis it's fantastic for creating scripts and all this wonderful stuff. But it's not going to show you the nuance of how to how to say it, and there's 1,000 other things that are in the hypnosis rather than just the exact words we use. But if you get an idea of a person that you really connect with, if you in the future want to go, you know what, I want to extend my skills, or I want to learn about this, or I want to learn about that. It gives you an idea of who you want to, go look at to train under or to get more knowledge from, because you've got this little sneak peek into their mind that you wouldn't have had otherwise, and you've got this little sneak peek into dozens of people's minds rather than, just going, oh, this person said that this, I'm going to go train under this person because they said they were fantastic. You rock up on the day and they just don't click with you. You don't want that to happen, because you're not going to get as much from the training as you are from a person that you go, wow, that training just blew me away. That person thinks exactly as I do, and that's the person I want to be learning from. So that's just like a little side benefit from having so many people in this system, is you get to really hone yourself and direct yourself towards these masters that you really click with in a very unique way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other side of it, having that ability to organize everything. And it's where we've been working together on the actual CRM side of things that, I've been someone with hypnotic business systems with the different workshops I've taught over the years, having to at times make several recommendations to go, okay, so there's this platform which does this but doesn't do that. Here's the one I'm currently using myself, which it works good enough, and the whole issue is it talks to my different systems. But to be able to actually, which this was the moment, I'll give the backstory that you reached out to Scott Sandlin. Scott then invited me along, and that's where you and I first met. And I said yes to this in terms of helping out and being a part of it, which, as a side note, before I knew it was called Scriptnosis. To which point it's like, oh, we're reclaiming the word. I love it. This is ours now. We're claiming it back. And then only down the road, then finding out, oh, wait, this is also going to organize the practice for the hypnotist, which to have in one location a record of here's what I did with my client. Here's the automation of everything out there, email marketing that we can do, of the opt-in forms, automated reminders. Hey, it's 10 days after your stop smoking session. No, you're doing great. Here's a resource to check out. The birthday reminders, that sort of thing as well. Where did that idea come into all this?
Well, I was actually just a lot of this actually because you obviously are a bit of a master of this field, as most people should know. And if you don't, listening to this recording, now you do. Jason is absolutely fantastic at sales and marketing and business structure and organization and stuff like that. And as we were chatting about this does this and this doesn't do that, it really got me thinking as to, what things can we put into this, this auto email and this auto SMS system that are gonna make make the practitioner a better practitioner, not necessarily just for I'm going to make more money because I'm going to send out an email or an SMS that morning, and then the client's going to remember to rock up, which is another $250 in my pocket. That's a fantastic way to look at it. It's going to help your business out, but it was more along the lines of what could we do just to be better people that we don't do enough of, and for me it was. The business side was catching up with clients afterwards, was just reminding them that if they had a little bit of a stumble, that someone was there, and the birthday come in, because I thought, who doesn't like getting a birthday reminder or a birthday message saying hi, happy birthday. So we started looking at all these things that we could have in the system that we could use as an automated process, and birthdays were a date that we could put in there And they had some relevance. So we ended up putting birthdays in there, specific dates. We even set it up so that you can send things out at a specific date. And the thinking behind this was, this is fantastic for maybe doing a marketing campaign through March. You can do, one day here, one day here, one day here. But the thinking was more along the lines of, so let's say you've worked with someone for depression. Now, we all know that we want to imagine that once we've worked with someone and they've left our office, that it's just their life's going to be better and it's going to be changed forever and nothing's ever going to go backwards. They'll never smoke again. They'll never have any of these issues again. Everything's perfect. The reality is that's not always the case. It'd be lovely if that was the way, but people regress. Time goes by. And one of the ideas was, for these people that, let's say you work with someone that happened to have depression, or you're working with them, or that maybe is your specialty, around about the end of December happens to be quite a bad time for some people who have got, depression. It's Christmas coming up, it's New Year's coming up, maybe their family life's not so great. So the idea was, you could send maybe on the 24th, you send an email out to the majority of your client database that says, have a Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year, eat, drink, be merry. Hopefully I'll catch up with you in the new year. All the cool stuff that we do too much of. But these people that you might not have spoken to them for 6 months, and you're not going to just ring them up and say, hey, how you going? Did you, are you still feeling happy? But maybe just a little email around Christmas time, instead of saying, my office is closed from the 24th to the 7th of January, you can just add into their email that says, please remember my door is always open. If you ever need to talk, if you ever need to chat, I'm always here. You've got my number. Have a fantastic Christmas and a Happy New Year. So just that little nuance for that specific group of people can really make a difference. So that was the idea of putting some of these awesome little points of or abilities to send at different times and different points within the year, because you can literally set this up for different people. And once you tag them in the system, once you actually say, okay, this is a depression client, or this is a stop smoking client, or whatever it happens to be, you can then set these lovely little email streams out specifically directed to that person, so that it's extremely personalized and it sounds like it's been written by hand by you. And again, this is not necessarily to have them go, oh, wow, that guy was fantastic. I'm going to remind my friend to go do a non-smoking session with him. It's really just about being a better practitioner in that, you are congratulating them in 10 days because they haven't smoked, or you are being there or just giving them that little bit of extra information if you think that maybe around Christmas time something could they could be distressed or whatever it happens to be. It's those little nuances that I think are going to make people better practitioners, as well as more profitable in their business that we were after when we were setting the CRM up.
And as much as I'd run into people who would, kind of be dismissive on the business side, you just described exactly what it is that made Virginia Hypnosis a business that's basically running itself now for me. That a little bit of ongoing maintenance, the whole idea of being, at least on the admin side of things, Virginia Hypnosis is that 4-hour work week for me. It's much more when you factor in the fact that I see, a couple of dozen clients a week. Yet the administrative side of things, where I will at times take note if they have college-age kids. Why? Because as it gets to be around the holidays, as other people are out there saying, well, it's slow between Christmas and New Year's, and people aren't really focused on their goals until after New Year's because of resolutions. And I'm going, that's a crappy self-limiting belief. And I'll send out an email about, hey, here's an interesting study around hypnosis and test anxieties and study and test improvement. Who do you know, being the magical question, who do you know that is perhaps on a bit of a break from school and could use this time to recharge and re-enter the testing field with better focus and better strategies? And suddenly re-engaging past clients. Or here's a moment, I'm trying to think of the last one that I sent where, back when I did the when I did the TEDx talk, just simply blasting that video out to my entire list of people who had either called me up and given me permission to send further information by email, or existing or past clients, sending that video out, which, yes, that was strategically done to help build some of my speaking business, but at the same time, here's something interesting you may find value in, and it's the fact that it's me on the TEDx stage. And I booked so many clients as a result of that, which some of them were my favorite ones, where I got 5 of these. Hey, I just thank you so much for sending me this. I quit smoking with you like 6 years ago, and it's not that I gained weight from quitting smoking. No, I'm still the same amount overweight that I was when I first saw you for the cigarettes. And I just realized, and 3 people used this exact phrase, how stupid it was that I kept struggling when I could have just come back to you. Let me book some sessions. So what's often referred to in the marketing world is touch points, which in a very non-salesy way, we're staying top of mind to really position as this person is the resource for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean that is such a great example with the with the college age students with the test anxiety, because again, people are going to go, "Oh, you're just after getting another sale, this, that, and the other." But really, when you think about it, if you can help, we are in the business of helping people. And if we focus on that first, if you can help more people, the returns to you are going to be fantastic, because people really are happy to exchange what they see as not a great amount of money for a huge benefit in their life. They're exchanging whatever the monetary amount it is with you, because what you are giving them is worth more to them than the money that they're giving you. And sometimes much, much more. So, if we, like you said, you can direct this towards people that might have kids. Now, you might end up talking to someone who actually did have a massive amount of test anxiety. And if you can help them out and it'll help alleviate that person's whole life might change, because there's a huge difference between someone who struggles through tests and someone who doesn't. When you go into college or university, that is a huge defining moment in your life. And if you can help make that a better experience or an easier experience, it's very hard to imagine how huge that change could be throughout that person's, from now until 10, 20, 50 years time. So thank you very much for that example, because that's the type of thing that really gets me thinking as well. So I love talking to you about this type of stuff, because when you say things, I start thinking of things and I go, oh, actually, that is a good idea. I can work with that.
But there's not enough business out there. So, yeah. So again, a really cool thing is that it's one of these, to borrow the name of a clothing line, it's one of these for us, by us style things where it's specifically in mind for our community. And it's where I struggled with scheduling softwares for a while because it was the whole, but this is very clearly built for a massage therapist. This isn't what I need. And to be something specifically built for this community, that's a gift to these, anyone trying to grow their business, trying to refine what they're doing, and really building something that Scott and I have been on you and the developers going, no, this really has to be something that we're going to use too. Yeah, absolutely. And it has been amazing working with you guys, because you have this breadth of experience that I could only ever dream of. That is just, every time you say something, or every time we discuss this, or every time we plan together, something new comes up and we go, wow, yeah, of course. Glad we thought of that now, because that little tweak now is going to be so much easier than 3 months' time, when it's a 2.5 week process to change that. So as we're building and crafting this, you guys have just been so incredible with the way we're building this as a 1, 2, 3 of us, because Scott's got a very unique set of experience, and you've got a very unique set of experience, and I've got a very unique set of experience. And what I'm getting as well is and you've probably seen some of these, the emails coming in like, oh, hi, can you do this? Or I've spoken to people and it's saying, it would be amazing if you could do that as well. And then all of a sudden we're getting it. So it's not just us 3 building this. It is actually people giving us ideas and advice and this input that's helping us actually structure it. So all the people we're talking to, we're not talking to accountants. We're not talking to doctors. We're just talking to people in our field, and the things in our field are, they're not completely specific, but there's a lot of things that are reasonably specific to us
that we are able to factor into this system that just makes it so much more personalized for, hypnotists and hypnotherapists and our industry in general, which has been a lot of the fun of building the project. Actually, is just to, it's like almost designing your own home. You're going to use it, you're going to live in it, so it's fun to build rather than designing someone else's home.
Yeah, so let's bring it all together with one question that I want to hear your answer from, two perspectives. The first, and I'll give you the perspectives first, then I'll ask the question. One would be in terms of just the future of the hypnosis profession, and then second of all, specifically about the Scriptnosis project. So the question would be, what is it that you're the most excited about? So first of all, just the future of the hypnosis profession, and then second of all, with the Scriptnosis project.
So the hypnosis profession, I really am excited about the fact that we are becoming more mainstream. And it still baffles me to this day as to these incredible effects and influence we can have on people and assistance we can have with people, why we are not the go-to. I understand that, medication, this, that, and the other, but we really should be okay, try this first, try working with your mind first. And I think we are coming into our own in that it's becoming more accepted. It's not something that's done in the closet or something that's just done on the stage anymore. It is now something that's becoming a more mainstream type of way to, help you with your problems and this, that, and the other. So I'm really excited about the fact that we are, our industry is building and our reputation is getting better and better and better. When in regard to Scriptnosis, I'm really excited about the fact that what we are creating is really a wonderful tool for our industry. Something that we are, as we are looking to be the standard. That when you are you're a hypnotist, this is where you keep your files, and this is where you put your clients in, and this is where you get your scripts from, purely because it works like this, it does this, it works in this way, it does that, and it keeps all the clients, it does it all together, and it's designed specifically for you. So what I'm excited about in that regard is the fact that we have had such an amazing response, far greater than I could ever have really imagined initially when I started this project. And the fact is I've had very few people, even though it's called Scriptnosis, have anything bad to say about it as soon as they understand the concept and the idea of what we're creating. So I really think we're going to be out there and we're going to be able to make people's lives, a little bit better, make their businesses a little bit better, and make their the results for their clients a little bit better. And I think that's what we all want.
Jason Linett here once again, and as always, thank you so much for interacting with this program, for sharing it on your social media streams, and leaving your feedback reviews online. And once again, let's share the stage on this one. A little bit more of a sales message here than what I typically do here in this platform, but there's a real passion behind this and a real message of helping all of us to become so much better at our work, and also, again, helping you to grow up your business. As I'm someone out there recommending different pieces of software, it took quite a bit for me to go, yes, this is something that this industry needs. And the coolest thing, again, as you heard us mention in this dialogue, is that as the users have been saying, can it do this? Well, we say, let's find out. And we send the message off to our, as I say, nerds in the back, but really the development team. And they go, oh, yeah, that's easy. And they set that up for us right away. So this is a real community feel in terms of building something that this hypnotism profession really, really needs. So head over, check it out, jump directly in. I know you're going to love it. Scriptnosis.com. See you on the inside.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.
Hey there, it's Jason, and I want you to be one of the first to find out as we upload amazing new content. So do this right now. Click the subscribe button right here on this video. That's going to link you to our YouTube channel here, and you will be the first to find out as new resources and downloads are made available. Do it now.